Welcome to class number 4. This is the final of the Vital Back series. And of course, you know, I'm Annie. And we are going to work today with the kind of 360-degree core today. So moving from all directions and connecting with the tree again. So I'll be checking in about your homework with how you attuned to trees the past week. Today you're going to need a long skinny roll. So you'll need a long skinny roll and a short fatter roll for the class. Not right away, but that's the supplies, and we'll be working on the ground much of the time, but we're going to do a warm-up to begin with. So let's get started with the warm-up. So today's warm-up, rub your hands, activate 2 sides of your brain. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Feel your hands. Maybe tap a heel while you do this a little bit, just to connect with the ground. And then we're going to stroke your head first, down your neck a little bit, and shoulders, chest, down to the feet. Let's do one more. Got lots of stuff to cover today, so we're going to get right cracking. Okay, down the back of the neck. This time go down your back and down the sides of your legs and down to the feet, and then up the backs of your legs, and just stroking the belly a little bit. So we do this to activate the skin, to connect, bring your attention into your body. We're moving, the intention of the class is to go into the core. And so with your mind, whenever you do this on your own at home, which you're at home now doing this with me, but without it being a live recording, I want you to just focus on coming inside your body. And really, the stroking is a wonderful way if you do it slowly. All right? Now, I often do a warm-up sitting on a blanket roll because that activates the root chakra and it balances your pelvis. You can always add that, but today I want to do something a little different. I want you to, you're going to pull up in without the roll. You're just going to suck your belly up, kind of pulling up the diaphragm. All right. And then I want you to lean on one sit bone and relax. So you're going to pull and relax on the sit bone. Kind of do that a few times, and then go to the other sit bone, pull up with your stomach, and then relax. So it's this diaphragm pulling up in and relaxing. Okay, that kind of gets things a little awake in there. And then I'd like you to think about the pelvic floor is like this trampoline surface. It has this ability to contract and open, and it sits between your sit bones. And so this is the base of the core, is the pelvic floor. And we do a lot with this blanket roll, connecting, activating the core with that blanket roll. But we're going to use it without the roll, just pulling up in. And I want you to pretend you have a couple, maybe 3 marbles inside your pelvic floor on top of this trampoline-like skin that's between your sitting bones. So when you roll forward and back, you roll over your genitals, but you also roll over this pelvic floor. And we're going to just do some little movements where you roll to one sit bone, pull up the pelvic floor, and kind of move those inner marbles to roll into that side of your pelvic floor. Keep this lifted a little bit. Roll to the other side, and then drop the pelvic floor, drop down with your sit bones. So we can play a little with this trampoline at the base of your spine. Just a little warm up to connect with our pelvic floor. And imagine you have these little balls that you're rolling that are lying on top of this pelvic floor. Okay, hopefully this isn't too abstract for you. The pelvic floor sits below your bladder. So this is helpful for your bladder, but it also will release tension that might be held in this base part that affects our low back, affects the organs in the front. Okay, so last time we're warming up. This time we're going to go slowly through that area that we just kind of opened and stimulated, and down to your legs, down to your feet. So it's a quick warm up. We could do it much slower, but we're going to move on. Okay, so we're going to work now more deeply than we ever have before. So be sure that you have this idea that when we go deep, we have to move slowly. Okay, so you're going to get your long skinny roll, put it down on the floor. I'm going to set myself up as well. And you won't need to watch, but I will have the camera on me so you can. So you put your skinny roll in the middle of your blanket. And today, instead of having a big fat towel for your head, you're going to have your head on the top of your skinny roll, okay? So everything's on the skinny roll. Your legs are going to be bent, your knees bent. And you just want to situate so that your head is on the skinny roll, that your knees are over your ankle, your foot, and they're hip width apart. Lie on your back, right down the skinny roll, and just let your body settle for a moment or two. Breathe through your nose and feel the contact. And as I mentioned in the past classes, just this position is enormously informative and healing in connecting with the core of ourselves and connecting with this spine, this area that is hard to feel because there's so many muscles around the core. So you feel the contact, and after we lie here a while, things relax, and then we don't have that much sensation, okay? We get used to this position. So now let's roll everything to one side. I'm going to my left, but it doesn't matter which side you picked, and then come back to the middle. So move everything like it's like a rolling pin or a round dowel. And that's fine. It's a nice feeling, but it's actually really hard to tell what's going on because there's so many parts that are moving. So now let's just move one part of that. So now let's just move your hips a little bit. We've done this before in the past, but this is just a nice warm up. So you move your hips a little right and left, move your shoulders now a little bit. Leave your hips still, but move your shoulders so they go over the roll. And then the last thing is just move your head. So this is a review, but it's nice to feel, is that easier now having done the other classes? Can you feel these parts of yourself moving? Okay, now let's roll off and rest and take away your roller, move it to the side. And if you need like a towel under your head, you can put something under your head so that your forehead and chin are at a level position. You can leave your knees bent or you can lengthen your legs long. Okay, I'm just going to leave mine bent right now. Breathe through your nose and see how it feels to settle. So we'll just take some time to let your body settle in. And it's interesting what has the most pressure in the floor. As one teacher of mine used to say, what are your leaning points, the points that lean into the ground more, that can settle in? And just let your body do what it does well. which is find connection. It's like finding water or finding food. The body knows where gravity is, and when we tune in consciously to where gravity is, it makes it even easier, okay? Now let's roll to your side, and let's put the skinny roll once more underneath you. And kind of fluff it up so it's round. And let's lie on your back with your head on the skinny roll. Okay, so now let's take and reach across to your opposite knee. Okay, and just do that a couple times to find the knee. And if you like, you can kind of bring it toward your chest or move your shoulder. So it's like this push-pull from the shoulder and knee. And you might notice that that rolls your head a little bit or your shoulders. It's an interesting diagonal movement, and this will help you walk better if you have problems with balance. All right, so just rest for a moment and see how that is. And let's try the other side. So reach for the other knee. And if that's hard for you to do, you can reach under your knee or under your leg. Not everybody can reach their knee. So that's another option, but it's better if you can reach your knee. See if you can do that. And then play with moving your shoulder and your knee. And I do have a much easier lesson on my YouTube channel that works with this. So I can talk about that later. Okay, so just rock back and forth and then relax. Bring that knee down and your arm down. And then rest. Okay, now if you'd like, you could pause the video and rest on the floor and come back. That might be nice, just to give yourself more time with this. But let's keep going without taking that little intermission. So let's go back to the first knee and hand and see how is that now to reach for that knee. Does that feel clearer having done the other side? I'm amazed I can feel the difference just already. Now I'd like you to do something where you bring that knee up, keep it there, but I want you to take your arm away and then just tap your knee with your hand like that and bring your arm down. So you keep your low back against the roller. So make sure your low back is touching the roll. And then I want you just to tap the top of your knee, thigh area with your hand. Tap it. And then bring your knee down. Rest for a moment. And if you have cramps or anything, take care of yourself. Stretch out your leg and bring it back. If you're finding your muscles get crampy in this position, you can always roll off and rest. Now let's bring that knee up again and see if it's a little bit easier to tap with the hand. Leave your hand there and bring your knee down. And now see if you can, kind of like target practice, slap your hand with your knee. Leave your hand where it is and slap the knee into the hand. I love this lesson because if you have any kind of instability with your SI joints, the joints that are below your low back, this really helps a lot. Okay, so now hold the opposite knee and just do that a few times, reaching for the knee. Okay, so we've got that. And then leave the knee up, and I want you just to slap the knee gently with your hand. Slap it. And you can have your eyes closed when you do this, or you can look. It's good to look sometimes to make sure you're in the place you think you are. Okay, and rest. Let your body settle. It's very stimulating what we're doing right now. Doesn't seem like much, but it's very, very stimulating. You're working a lot of tiny muscles for balance. Okay, let's grab your knee and hand together. Okay, let's just do that again. Just see how is that getting clearer. Now leave your hand where it is, but take your knee away down to the floor and then slap your hand with your knee and make sure your low back is resting clearly on the roll. So relax your back as you do this. So this is happening just with your leg. Your back doesn't need to do anything. It can just relax onto the roll, and the knee is slamming into your hand in a fun kind of way. All right? Okay, now let's roll off and rest. I'll take this out. Take away your roll. Feel your back now. And if you want, you can kind of hug your knees and rock a little side to side. Or just bring your legs down and rest now. And feel the contact of your legs, your back, everything with the floor. Okay, great. All right, now let's roll to your side, and we're going to get the short, thick roller or thicker roller. And I'm going to put that so it's under your chest and it goes to the pubic bone. Your head will hang off. All right. And you come down on your forearms to drop your weight so that your pelvis can rest on top of this roll. Spread your legs fairly wide. And now you're going to reach your arms, and we're going to do something different today. You're going to bend your knees so your feet are toward the ceiling. Okay, a little bit spread. And let's just start rolling your pelvis a little side to side. Your arms can be near your head on the ground, the forearms. Good. And now reach one arm long. Let's say it's your left arm. Reach your left arm long. And you're going to take and roll a little bit to your left, so you put a little weight, and you can kind of slide that arm when you roll. And then as you come back, roll to the right and put more weight on the right knee. So you're going, sliding the arm and coming back to the right knee. Now your right hand is in a push-up position, and that will help your balance. So you can use your right hand to help push the movement to roll to your left. When you roll to your right, the right arm can catch your weight a little bit. Now, you're going to push and with the right hand and lift your right knee a little bit, and then look toward your left hand. So you're going to slide the left hand along the floor while you lift the right knee. So it's like a teeter-totter. The right knee lifts and you slide up and to the left. And you should feel that down your sternum as you lift the right leg just a little bit, just enough so you can teeter and slide onto that left arm. I have my forehead on the ground, okay? And I'm rolling my head as well, but you can see what you do with your head. Now rest for a minute in the middle. Lower your legs. And now reach your right arm straight up on the floor above your head and bring your left hand into a pushing position, both knees bent, and begin just to rock a little bit to the right. Don't lift your leg yet. Just rock to the right and slide your right arm. So you feel this movement between your left hand that's pushing and the right arm that's sliding as you roll your pelvis side to side. Okay, now pause in the middle and just play with pushing with the left hand so that you feel that rolling. And then can you lift your left knee and reach the right hand. So there's this coordination happening between the left knee and the right hand. And as the left knee lifts, the right hand slides and your weight is pressing into the upper sternum. Okay, now rest for a moment, bring your arms down. Let's take away the roll. And just lie flat now. You can turn your head to the side and feel the contact now down the center of yourself. This is a beautiful lesson, and we're just going to do a little bit today. I don't want to overdo that. There is so much with this lesson, but it's easy to do too much. So we're just going to do a little bit of that lesson. You could come back and visit that lesson of being on your belly, you know, with one arm straight and one arm bent. All right, now let's bring your elbows kind of near your chest. Push with your forearms to come up so that your chest and head are lifted, and then we'll just roll to your side and come onto your back for a moment. Let's hold on to your knees. And let's just rock a little bit side to side. And a little bit lift your head and rock toward your feet and bring your knees toward your head. So you lift your head and rock up and down this way as well. Okay, now let's rest on your back. Feel the contact now. Feel the core of your being. The core, you know, when we've been touched to our core, just the intention of going to your core is a powerful intention. And as you do these lessons, have respect for what's buried inside of you. What is your most deepest feelings, the power that you have, what you protect. This is what we're connecting with. It's not something to take too lightly. And at the same time, we want to lighten the load. We want to reduce the tension around the core so that you can feel your power. All right, bend your knees now. Have your feet wide. And now round your arms as if you're hugging a tree. And you're going to take your middle fingers and touch them together. Elbows will be bent and your hands will be right above your heart or chest, but extended up toward the ceiling so that you make a hoop or kind of a round shape with your hands connected at the middle fingers. Relax your shoulders. So if you were to roll a little to your left, can you feel your shoulder blade and the side of your rib cage and the side of your hips? And then roll back to the center and go to the other side and feel the back of your head and the side of your rib cage. And then you can come to the point where you touch your arm to the floor. So roll your whole body, just like we did on the roller, the skinny roller, but now you can feel the back of you rolling. Breathe through your nose. And this is such a healing position. If you have anxiety or fear of any kind, you can play with this movement and feel like you're a tree. The back of yourself is the back trunk, and feel the back trunk of you now. And the front of your chest can soften as you feel the back. So there's a dimension that the arms make this sacred space of your body. Just roll side to side slowly. And then move your arms a little higher so it's above your head, perhaps, just a little bit, so that the shoulder blades are in a different position. Feel what that's like. And you could spend a lot of time, we won't go through all the different places your arms could be, but move them below your chest so they're in front of your belly area and roll there. And there are so many explorations we could do. For instance, what's leading this movement? Is it your pelvis? Is it your arms? Is it your head? Is it your chest? You could play with that. Let some other part, maybe I let my pelvis begin the movement and everything follows my pelvis around here, side to side. Or I could be the arms are leading the movement, okay? So you can play with this on your own later, but just to give you some ideas of fun things to play with. Okay, lower your arms now. Let's rest your legs too. And feel the contact now with the floor. Feel both the front of you and the back. Resting deeply. All right. All right, we have just a minute. I want to do this fun thing. Okay, so as you're resting here, and I'll come back to this in another series, but bend your knees, have your feet hip width apart, and now reach your hand for your knee. And remember how we slap the knee in the hand? You slap like this, yeah? The knee meets the hand, the palm of the hand, and the hand meets the knee. Try the other one, other knee and opposite hand. And now let's just go one with one leg, and then the opposite leg and arm, and then just go 2 times. All right, 2 slaps with the same side. 2 slaps. 2 slaps. Now see, you can go a little quicker. A little quicker. Okay, stop and rest. Okay, so that is a wonderful, quick way to connect the core. Now let's roll to your side and we'll come back up to sitting. So just sit. Take a moment and sit at your chair now and feel, like if you put your hands in front of you, can you feel the space now around your core? If you turn now sitting, can you feel your sit bones if you tap your heels? Remember, we started with this feeling of the trampoline at the bottom of you. If you put one hand on your head and one hand in front, can you feel the pelvic floor and the back in front of you? Okay. And pivoting as you sit. This really makes for vital sitting, you know. So switch hands. You can just, this is almost like a dancer pose, yes? But you can feel now, if you're a tree, right? And you feel, bring your hands apart now and feel the space around yourself. So in past classes, we've done some clearing of your vital field. If you're moving your hands in your space now, feel your core that's in the middle as you move your arms around in your space. Feeling, you can tap your heel now and then and feel your heels and sense now your presence, your own sense of yourself. Maybe close your eyes for a moment and just tune in to this presence that has this connection to the core, to the bones, to the ground, to the sky, just like a tree. And that will really clear tension, but also receive vitality from the ground. All right. So your homework, even though this is the end of the series, is to explore moving with this feeling of your whole spine during the day, to sit and stand outdoors near a tree and see if you can connect more from your core now with the trees outdoors. And ask, as we did last lesson, we talked about asking the trees a question and see if your body is clearer now to receive information from nature, from any aspect of nature, but particularly trees are awesome. Okay, so that's your assignment at the end of the series. I also want to mention this series is going to dovetail to the next series, which is about uplifting your head and neck. And I'm going to be working with the theme of courage and encouragement. And the nature theme next class will be working with geese and swans, because they have the most beautiful, elegant necks, and they work in such great community. So that'll be our theme for the next series. Thanks for joining me. We're going to have discussion now following this, and also maybe some added bonus material. All right, so thanks, and I'll see you next class. Wonderful. So how was that for people? They're all some of my favorite lessons for the core. How do you feel after that? It's so true. And once you like review this lesson again with the recording, I would suggest you have some longer rest periods in between the little lessons we did. These lessons are extremely powerful, and it's in a way a blessing that we only have a half hour, because there's a tendency I have found in the Feldenkrais work to really overstimulate people. And the more I do this work, it's best to just open the door, you know, and then let things air out a little, you know, instead of just keep dredging stuff out. It's, I don't know if you've gone into, like, if someone dies and you go into their home and you've got to go sort through everything quickly. It's just takes forever to process things when you do it really fast. And when we're in an area that's so vulnerable and so deep, we do it a little bit at a time. I mean, these things have been in there for a long time, and just a little bit at a time. It's very profound work. So I agree with what you said, and doing these relaxing movements that are more general will help, and doing things where you're soothing and stroking the body will be very calming. Yeah, and it's not uncommon to have grief come up, or emotions, irritability. And I think I've mentioned before, Epsom salt baths are very healing and calming to your nervous system. The magnesium is helpful. Electrolytes are helpful if you find you're getting a lot of agitation from the lessons. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. It's really, like, even me, but, you know, I've done these lessons a lot, and but in teaching a series like this, I have been incredibly stirred up from having done so much exploration, particularly with the core, for these 4 weeks. And I have felt like, wow, it's a lot to process on top of COVID, you know? Yeah. Did anyone else feel that way? Just this core? It is hard. And that's why our next thing is about courage and encouragement. And the geese, the reason I chose the geese is they work in harmony together, and they don't always have one leader. And it's a comfort to know that we can turn to one another for encouragement when we need a little help to get through a stretch of our journey. And I think right now there's so much fatigue going on with so much bad news in the world. We need some encouragement from one another. And that's why this next series is timed the way it is for me. So that's
good.
That's something to offer you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Is there Annie, is it 4 more weeks, like on the same time? Is it the Tuesday? You know,
Yeah, it'll be the same
exactly
time.
the same.
Yeah,
time. And
same time. Yeah, I'll be writing about it in my newsletter. Well, here's my message from the trees. And um, the trees help us grieve. And grief is can be overwhelming, particularly when we have so much information about loss right now. I mean, there's people dying and there's environmental stuff, and we could really go down a rabbit hole into what's sad, and not to mention the racial rioting stuff in the United States and other things in the world. So, but I look to trees because they're not only good at letting go, they do it seasonally for us in such a beautiful way and so elegantly, but they stand so tall and they help us stand, and they give us strength and support, just their presence, and they give us oxygen, you know, and all these things. So whenever I feel kind of beaten down, which I have many times in my life and been really on my back a lot of times, you know, I turn to the trees for support and encouragement, but particularly for healing, because the trees have a lot of messages of how to heal. They heal and send communication above ground, but through their roots. And then they have their ancestors that they're growing on. You know, the dirt, so much of our dirt comes from trees too, as well as our own bodies. But I feel so comforted just looking at them in in uh, in my field of view. And if I sit near one, it's calming because they're alive, much like the rock, right? We talked about the rock a lot with the Clearing Fear series, but the trees are always renewing life. And when we're losing life, we forget that there is renewal. And the tree is like one of those in native medicine, you know, it's a symbol of the North Shield because it survives winter. You know, it's got this thick coat on of bark and incredible root system. And so the trees give us courage that when we've lost a lot, maybe our leaves and, you know, it's a drought or something, there's these inner resources that can take us through difficult times. And they're also very much about community, trees, and that when we are feeling really bad, we call another human and get some support and encouragement, you know. So that's why I did the trees this time. I think they help us connect to our core. They help us have the courage to go to the core. They teach us how to move from the core. And I guess that's just my offering to what you said. It's a big constraint in our world right now that we're not hugging one another. And those of us without partners or whatever, it's even more clear of like, wow, I really need to find this in myself, this affection, yeah, this kindness, this physical, like here I am with myself. Because a lot of times we depend on other people to give us that feedback sometimes, but it's very profound to feel it with yourself. And I find that this lying on the blanket roll is a very intimate, it's just me. It's not me with a partner or a friend that's touching me. It's just my own intimate connection with myself. And this is a really good thing to have, I believe. Yeah. How has your experience been this week with the trees? Does anybody want to report any messages or experiences they had with trees?
I just really wondered, Annie, if I was going to hear or be able to listen to this tree, ask the questions, or would I receive, or would I even perceive that I received?
Yeah.
And I about fell out of my chair laughing because I was just sitting on a little canvas deck chair looking out across at this, tree. And about the time that I'm just really dropping into this experience, this first time, been back multiple times now, it just happened to be at a time in the evening, and I was just saying, how is it to this tree that you can stand so tall for so long and bend so much? Because I mentioned in the storms, so the difference over the whole 12 months of how this tree behaves in the different seasons. And it just happened to be where the sun was, and the sun it was behind the tree, and this tree's answer to me was the sun just burst through the trees. I mean, it just, it kind of came out like, because I'm full of light, because I have light and it's in me. And I was just gobsmacked. I mean, I'm emotional about it. I was like, of course.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, of course. It was amazing. It was really a special experience. So I thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Who knew?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Well, it's not too late. If you haven't done this assignment, believe me, you have the rest of your life. You can do it every day, anytime. You have a question about something in life, or you want to ask the tree how it is, how does it stand to be tall? They're there just waiting. And they love being talked to. Had some wonderful conversations with trees, and you may not have necessarily words that come to you. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's an image or a feeling or an emotion. So it's different ways of light, a bird may come and sing something, but you'll feel something inside of you that gives you a feeling like, wow, that was special. Or you just have a download of information come to you. Yeah. A lot of times we discount things like that, but the more you tune in, that you have some pretty magical things start happening. So wonderful. That's cool. Wonderful. Well, as we keep going with these classes, we'll get more opportunities to practice these things in different ways of connecting from your core to the natural world. And all of us will find different connections. Some people have really strong connections with animals or birds or trees or rocks or the wind or water. And so you'll kind of see what you tune into. We all have our special friends, So it'll be fun to see how that plays out for each of us and grows. Yeah. Well, you're always welcome to write to me, and I will have more information about the next series, and any fun stories like that, feel free to write and share. And, even if you want to include it, I could put it in my newsletter or something. They're great teaching stories that you all have. So it's nice to share those with people. It gives other people encouragement too. Really appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Be safe.
Or evening.
Everyone be safe.
Yeah, okay. Be safe. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.